Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Progressives have always been angry. Indignation is their signature emotion. But a year and a half into the Trump administration, their rage has finally consumed them. The left is spinning completely out of control. Just 2 weeks ago, only a few fringe figures called for abolishing border enforcement. Now that's a mainstream view in the Democratic Party. Watch.
ICE has strayed so far from its mission. It's supposed to be here to keep Americans safe, but what it's turned into is frankly a terrorist organization of its own.
We need to rebuild our immigration system from top to bottom, starting by replacing ICE with something that reflects our morality.
Look at ICE. What a group of incompetents. At this point, they're focused more on toddlers than terrorists.
You should get rid of it, start over, reimagine it, and build something that actually works.
Kirsten Gillibrand and Elizabeth Warren are thinking strongly about running for president. They don't take positions lightly. If they're calling for the end of national borders, and that's exactly what they're calling for, they think their party is with them, and they may be right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is definitely with them. She's the soon-to-be congresswoman from New York's 14th district. She's a self-identified Democratic socialist. What does that mean exactly? Well, last week, the New York Democratic Socialists of America issued a statement of their beliefs. Quote, abolish profit, abolish prisons, abolish cash bail, abolish borders. Abolishing prisons in a country with thousands of murders every year? What would that look like? Well, you probably wouldn't stick around to find out. You'd be long gone, along with every other normal, productive person in what was once America, refugees from your own country. Something like that happened in Venezuela. There are people in our country working to make it happen here. And suddenly, some of them are prominent in the Democratic Party. This is getting scary. If you pay attention, it will scare you. You'd think our so-called intellectual leaders would be working to moderate rhetoric like this and guide it in a more responsible direction, but they're not. Instead, those leaders are adding to the cycle of extremism. Consider the reaction to the retirement of Justice Anthony Kennedy. Left-wing law professors at prominent schools are calling for Democrats to expand the number of seats on the Supreme Court and pack it with liberals for a permanent majority. Harvard Law lecturer Ian Samuel wrote that a Supreme Court with 10 liberals and only 5 conservatives would actually be, quote, incredibly generous to the Republicans. Fordham law professor Jed Sugarman agreed with that. If this happened, of course, the court's legitimacy would evaporate overnight, but they don't care. They would have power forever, and that's their goal, their only goal. Of course, Republicans could pack the Supreme Court right now, tonight. They have the power. But everyone knows they won't do that. Only the left is embracing extremism right now. Progressive mobs threaten public figures. Progressive leaders cheer them on. Here's Washington Post writer Jennifer Rubin explaining on MSNBC that Sarah Sanders deserves a, quote, life sentence of harassment from the left for the crime of working for Donald Trump. Watch.
Sarah Huckabee has no right to live a life of no fuss, no muss after lying to the press, after inciting against the press. These people should be made uncomfortable, and I think that's a life sentence, frankly.
She has no right to live a normal life because she disagrees with me. Well, there's nothing liberal about language like that. It is pure authoritarianism. In just the past few weeks, the old Democratic Party has vanished. Bill Clinton